I now call the Iberia Parish Council meeting to order for December 13, 2023. The current time now is 6:01. We'll have the prayer led by Councilwoman Brown and the pledge by Councilman Olivier. Councilwoman Brown.
Heavenly Father, I pray for this council meeting tonight. Give the council members wisdom and guidance as we deliberate on the items before us. May every decision be righteous in your sight for our benefit and for your glory. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Amen. Councilman Olivier.
Everyone face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, members. Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Francis Pollard. Here. Michael Landry. Here. Marcus Broussard. Here. Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Gotchison.
Here.
Natalie Broussard. Here. Paul Landry. James Trahan.
Here.
Scott Ronsonet.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Lady Fontenette Brown. Here. Scott Saunier. Chad Macherin.
Here.
We have 12 members in a quorum. Moving on to council member announcements. Members at this time, anyone on council member announcements? All right. Oh, we do have one. Councilmember Olivier is recognized.
I'd like to thank the general public for the contribution to the Food Net program yesterday at the Sugarcane Festival building. Quite a few folks dropped off some food for the needy, so thanks very much to the general public. Thank you.
The gentleman from District 10 yields back. Anyone else, members on council member announcements? Hearing and seeing none. Moving on to parish president announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
President Richard.
Today, the bid opening for the replacement of the courthouse cooling towers was held yesterday. The bid was awarded to a company by the name of Gallo Mechanical LLC in the amount of $514,000. It's actually on the bid. And we have the amendments. Of course, we have a couple of things that we was trying to get done if we had enough money. So everything came in on the bid. So we're looking very good right there. Today we met with Paul Alland by the evacuation center. In attendance were civil engineers, construction engineers, mechanical engineers, and electrical engineers. It was myself and my staff. I had Bo was there, and Cindy, and Prescott Marshall, and Mike Broussard. Next we're going to meet with, they're going to meet with Michael Prejean, because we have a few items that we need to take care of as far as cameras and things of that particular nature. So everything worked out very good with that particular evacuation center. It's looking very good. Some of the council members have already seen the drawings. Actually, Natalie was involved in a couple of the meetings that we had, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're looking very good with that building. We look to get a cost, just for your information. It's going to be located, of course, you already know, next to the Isle of Iberia. So we'll have some cane that we got to get with LSU Ag to find out what we're going to be paying for that piece of property to farmers. But everything is looking good there. As far as public works, over the last couple of weeks, we did some culvert cleaning in District 5, 9, and 14. We did some culvert inspections in District 10. We repaired some culverts in District 9. We did some tree removal and cut different trees in District 11. We did some road grading in District 3, 10, and 13. Of course, we had illegal dumping that we had to deal with. We was constantly dealing with illegal dumping. But we had enough illegal dumping in District 9, 10, 12, and 13 to actually put it on this report. It's illegal dumping it's an absolute mess in Iberia Parish, and we're trying to address that. Road patching, we did some road patching in District 2, 3, 5, 9, 10, 13, and 14. Of course, we're going to continue to patch until we can come up with real dollars to actually do some road overlays. So you know that we're going out for a dedicated fund on April the 27th of next year. So hopefully we get that to pass by the people of Iberia Parish. It's just passed in the city, and we really want to try to get this parish and put this parish in a position to where we have the infrastructure that we need to bring businesses here, retain the businesses that we have good roads for the people to actually drive to their homes and bring some new homes in this particular area. So infrastructure is huge in Iberia Parish. We've got a lot of work that needs to be done. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to stop. Of course, we have a whole bunch of things I can continue to read on this list, but we have a pretty good meeting tonight as well as committee meetings. So I'm going to end my report, sir.
At this time, members, are there any questions for the parish president? Seeing none and hearing none, moving on, members, to public comments. I need a motion to go into public comments. Have that motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Vote your machines on public comments, members. That motion carries unanimously. We're now into public comments. Number one, Madam Clerk.
Comments from the general public on agenda items.
We did receive a couple. We have Mr. Walter Voorhees to address agenda item number 205. Mr. Voorhees, if you can step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Name's Walter Voorhees. I reside at 4608 Old West Spanish Trail, outside of New Iberia on Spanish Lake. And here tonight to see if we can work something out about getting a reduction of the drainage ditch between my property and the Shopwee property. I've also been authorized to speak on behalf of the Shopwee brothers for this reduction. You know, it's basically a safety thing for my grandchildren and the cleanliness of the property. We have a lot of rodents, snakes, and occasionally alligators that'll feed up into this ditch area, and it's kind of surprising sometimes when you're trying to work around or kids are playing in the yard and that stuff's going on. You know, in reality, I'm hoping to be able to ease the council's burden on the cost of trying to maintain the ditch over a period of time. I think that I can probably do a better job of that at no cost to the council. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Members, at this time, did you want to do questions and answers with Mr. Voorhees, or did you want to wait until we address the summary? Okay. Thank you for being here, sir. We also have a request for summary 205 by Mr. Wayne LaBiche. Mr. LaBiche, if you can just state your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Wayne LaBiche, 117 Emile Verret Road. I think that Mr. Voorhees said it pretty adequately, so I don't think I can add any more to that, unless anyone has any questions.
Members, at this time, is there any questions for Mr. LaBiche, or did you want to wait for summary 205 also? Well, if you can just stick around, we may need your expertise.
Okay, thank
Thank you, Mr. LaBiche. Anyone in the audience that did not get an opportunity to get a speaker participation card? Seeing no requests. Number two, Madam Clerk.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards, commissions to address the council.
We do have one by Ms. Crystal Arsenault for reappointment to the Youth Planning Board. Ma'am, if you can just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Crystal Arsenault. My address is 809 Darby Lane,
Thank you
New
for being here.
Iberia. Thank you.
Miss Arsenault, if you want to just give us a brief synopsis of yourself.
I'm just requesting renewal for the Children's Youth Planning Board representing Iberia School District.
Members, at this time, are there any questions for Ms. Arsenault? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you for your willingness
Thank
to
you.
serve. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Next, we have Mr. David Tate for Spanish Lake Commission appointment. He's anxious. Mr. Tate, if you can state your name and address for the record.
I'm David Tate, and I live on Bernard Drive in the north corner of Spanish Lake, and I currently serve on the Spanish Lake Commission as secretary. As such, I'm a member of the executive committee and responsible for recording and reporting activities and resolutions of the Spanish Lake Commission. My qualifications include I've been a resident of Spanish Lake since 1992 and have vested interest in what happens in my neighborhood. I know firsthand recent history of what's happened at the lake and what goes on there now. My familiarity with the lake ecosystem stems from using the lake and the immediate area as a field laboratory in my 30 years of teaching and research in Louisiana. I'm a trained field biologist with a PhD in biological sciences from LSU and over 30 years of experience in research and teaching in both freshwater and marine ecosystems throughout the southern U.S., Hawaii, and Mexico. I would like to be a part of finding solutions to the challenges that we face at Spanish Lake and its potential as a natural resource asset to the area. Currently, Spanish Lake, as I've sent you information about, Currently, it is a failing ecosystem. Integral parts of its infrastructure have fallen into critical disrepair. Oversight and management responsibilities need to be clarified. Mr. Richard is currently working with state and local officials to provide the necessary political leadership to address some of the most pressing problems at the lake. I'm looking forward to joining him and state agencies to find solutions that will protect and improve a unique and valuable resource and asset to Iberia Parish. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Tate, additional to Spanish Lake, did you want to serve on any other boards and commissions? We could use the expertise. Members, at this time, are there any questions for Mr. Tate? No. Hearing and seeing none, thank you for your service to our community. We appreciate it. Moving on, we have Mr. Robert Richard Broussard for Regional Planning Commission.
How's it going, guys?
State your name and address, please.
My name is Robert Richard Broussard. My address is 612 La Rue Delaney, New Iberia, Louisiana.
Welcome, sir.
All right. For your consideration for the Planning and Zoning Commission, basically, I'm a small business owner. I'm pro-business, pro-growth. I'm a lifelong member of Iberia Parish. I believe in making decisions that are in the best interests for the citizens and the community as a whole. And just for your consideration, place on that board.
Members, at this time, are there any questions for Mr. Broussard? Hearing and seeing none, thank you for wanting to serve. We appreciate it. I do apologize, members. We did have a request to also talk on agenda item number 2. Shouldn't have did this to this one, but Judge Hike, are you still here? Yes. Sorry about that, Judge.
No, it's actually for reappointment. I apologize. So Trey Hike, 302 Edgewater Drive, New Iberia, Louisiana. Here for reappointment to the Children and Youth Planning Board. And just for your own benefit, I guess, Dr. Tate was one of the finest teachers I ever had at ESA. Just an amazing person and a great science teacher.
So you recommend him, huh, Judge?
Learned a lot. Didn't have the best grades, but learned a lot. But with that being said, so the Children and Youth Planning Board, I think I'm up for reappointment on possibly my 3rd term. A great group of people. Ms. Crystal Arsenault is here. It's comprised of representatives, individuals from the school board, district attorney's office, city prosecutors, sheriff's departments, all the stakeholders dealing with juvenile issues, whether it's crime, delinquency, truancy, vaping in school, all those sorts of issues. So, and I deal with it day to day in juvenile court in New Iberia. So I appreciate all that you do for the kids of our parish, all the kids of the 16 JDC, and seeking reappointment. Thank you. It's a blessing.
At this time, is there any questions for Judge Hike? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you all.
Appreciate your service to our community. Moving on to Mr. Calvin Arrington Jr. For a reappointment to the Iberia Parish Recreation and Board and Commission.
My name is Calvin R. Arrington Jr. I wanted to be considered again for another 5 years with the Iberia Parish Recreation and Playground Commission. While serving on the board this past 5 years, I've learned a lot and see that there's a great need for activity at the 16 parks that we have. And it's through the planning stages that the current board that I'm with, we have done a lot this year to move forward. And right now, we're working very closely with the district director.
At this time, members, are there any questions for Mr. Arrington? Hearing and seeing none, thank you for your service to our community. We appreciate it. Moving on to Mr. Keith Bowles, appointment to the Regional Planning Commission. State your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Keith Bowles. I reside at 207 West Thompson Street in New Iberia, Louisiana. I'm approximately about 3 minutes from Anointed Soul Food, so y'all know where that's at, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm here this evening seeking your support to be a member of the Iberia Parish Planning and Zoning Committee. I'm a resident of Iberia Parish, Arlene Park, District 2. I've lived here in Iberia Parish for 35 years. I'm originally from Baldwin, Louisiana. My wife, Vanessa Delahousie, and I were married for 23 years prior to her passing in March of 2023. We were blessed with 2 beautiful children, Keisha, who is a chief financial officer of Vance Kitty Care, my wife's company, and Haley, who who is an attorney in Houston, Texas. I'm a Christian. I fellowship at House of Prayer, Pastor Philip Hill. I'm a graduate of Iberia Leadership Chamber of Commerce class of 2022. I'm also an active board member of the Iberia Kiwanis Club. In 2020, I retired from Anadarko Petroleum after 40 years as a senior advisor to management, managing their SIMS program known as Safety Environmental Management Plan. I was responsible for working, implementing state and federal policies and regulations for deep water production operations for new and renovation commission projects that were in a range of $250 to $400 million on deep water facilities, working with third-party contractors on our deep water facilities. Currently, I'm a licensed electrical contractor in St. Mary Parish and Iberia Parish. Also, for the past 30 years, have been chief operating and financial officer of my wife's company, Vance Kitty Care, that has been conducting business here in Iberia Parish for over 40 years. We employ 15 full-time employees. We're the second largest non-agent prophecy facilitating this program in the state of Louisiana, serving 21 parishes. We have 3 offices. The main office is here in New Iberia. We have one also in Opelousas that take care of North Louisiana, and we have one in our Great Louisiana area that takes care of our Homer and Thibodaux region. I'm presenting myself as well as making myself available to serve Iberia community as a whole. I have a deep desire to work with both the city and parish council regarding issues that relate to Iberia Parish Zoning and Planning Committee. I sincerely appreciate your support. May God bless each and one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, at this time, are there any questions for Mr. Bowles? Oh, we do have a question about the parish president.
Did you say you worked somewhere for 40 years?
Yes, sir. I get that all the time.
You look young, man.
All
He
the
does.
time.
Very
Yes.
good question, Mr. Richard.
40 years.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for wanting to serve your community. Members, at this time, hearing and seeing no other requests, I need a motion to go back into regular session. I have that moved by Councilman Brown and second by Councilman Olivier. Vote your machines, members. That motion carries unanimously. We're now back into regular session. Moving on to community events and public service announcements. There is none. Reports from finance and administrative actions. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Balance sheets for October 2023 on request.
Number 2.
Budget reports for October 2023 on request.
Moving on to reports from parish or other governmental agencies. Number 1.
Monthly permit report for the month of November 2023.
Moving on.
Council.
Moving on to public works reports. Number 1.
Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated November 8 through 14, 2023.
Moving on to special business. There is none. Moving on to consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. We have the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting of December 6, 2023. Summary number 233, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution of condolences to the family of Ms. Phyllis Olivier Ragat, sister of Iberia Parish Council Member Eugene A. Olivier Sr., who passed away on November 16, 2023.
Moving on to summary number 234, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Ricky Paul Melanson, brother of Iberia Parish Public Works Department employee Larry Melanson, who passed away on November 27, 2023.
Moving on to summary number 235, introduced by the clerk of the council.
A resolution accepting the resignation of Ms. Phoebe A. Hayes, Ph.D., as a member of the Iberia Parish Tourist Commission, representing the Iberia African American Historical Society, effective immediately.
Moving on to summary number 236, introduced by the clerk of the council.
A resolution accepting the resignation of Mr. Chris Ditch as a member of the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission, representing the community, effective immediately.
Summary number 237, introduced by the clerk of the council.
A resolution accepting the resignation of Mr. Jonathan Peel as a member of the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission, representing the community, effective immediately.
At this time, I need a motion to open the consent agenda items. I have that by Councilman Brown. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Rawsonay. Councilman Brown on discussion?
I'll wait.
Councilman Rawsonay. Members, at this time, is there any request on the floor to remove an item from consent agenda? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines on final adoption of consent agenda items as publicized. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption. There is none. Moving on to resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. We have summary number 53, introduced by legal counsel.
A resolution condemning the building and/or structures owned by Ross Paul Deco located at 2007 Jane Street, New Iberia, Louisiana, 70560, identified as having Iberia Parish Assessment Number 0101318010, ordering that said building and/or structures be demolished or removed, providing for the effective date thereof, and otherwise providing with respect thereto, condemnation hearing related to the building and/or structures owned by Ross Paul Deco located at 2007 Jane Street, New Iberia, Louisiana, 70560, identified as having Iberia Parish Assessment Number 0101318010, as recommended by the Director of Permitting, Planning, and Zoning. Note, this item was deferred at the November 15, 2023 Iberia Parish Council meeting.
Before we open up, members, is there anyone representing the Deku property? Seeing none, I'll need a motion to open. I have that motion by Councilman Broussard, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Marcus Broussard?
Yeah, Ian, can you kind of give us an update on this one, Bud? I missed the last meeting, so I missed some of what's going on, but this is
Okay.
mine, right?
Sure, no problem. So last meeting, we had to defer it because we didn't have a return on service by mail to one of the individuals who owns the property, who's currently incarcerated. We do have a return now, however, we have a scheduling conflict. We need Mr. Weaver and Ms. Duhon here at the same time. Neither are here tonight, so I'm requesting that this be moved to January 10th, which is, it's after the holidays, but this should be the last time. that we'll
January
have to-
10th, you asking to defer?
Yes, sir.
January 10th meeting. Councilman Broussard, you still have the floor.
No, I'm good.
The gentleman yields back. Councilman Michael Landry on discussion.
I'm good, I waive.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, we did have a recommendation to defer on January 10th. Do I have a motion to do that? I have a motion by Councilman Rawson, second by Councilman Landry. Any discussion on that, members? Councilman Landry on discussion? Hearing no other discussion, vote your machines on deferment for January 10th meeting, members. Vote your machines. That motion carries unanimously. Summary number 53 is deferred. Moving on to summary 205, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution granting a reduction of drainage assessment for the property belonging to Walter Voorhees located at 4608 Old Spanish Trail, New Iberia, in District 3, subject to compliance with staff report BPC 2023-0006, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission. Note, this item was tabled at the October 25th, 2023 Iberia Parish Council meeting.
I'll need a motion on the floor to remove summary 205 from the table. Have the motion to remove by Councilman Landry, Michael Landry, second by Councilman Broussard. Is there any discussion on removing from the table, members? Those two gentlemen wave. Please vote your machine to remove from the table. That motion carries. Summary number 205 has been removed from the table. Opening 205, I need a motion to open. I have a motion by Councilman Broussard, second by Councilman Landry, Michael Landry. Councilman Broussard on discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to follow through with the recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission to accommodate Mr. Voorhees with abandonment.
Okay.
And I drive by that property all the time. I think he can take good care of it. And,
Okay.
good.
Let's, before we go into discussion, council, in accordance with our ordinance, we have to have recommendations from the planning and zoning director, and the public works director. At this time, I'll ask the director of public works to step before the council and make a recommendation. Sir, if you could just state your name and title for the record.
My name is Dexter Mies, Iberia Parish Government Public Works Director.
Okay. You want to state your recommendation on the ordinance?
I spoke to Jeff Legnan with the state, and he said that they don't do away with ditches like that coming from a state highway. But
So
they're
what-
asking for a reduction in the right-of-way?
They asking for reduction of the drainage easement, is that correct?
From what to what?
The complete abandonment.
Complete abandonment was what we were actually looking for, and the state ditch does not actually connect to the lateral ditch between the Shopwee property and my property.
Mr. Miguez,
Yes.
can you make the recommendation? I didn't catch that from you.
The recommendation is to leave it like it is.
Okay, so the recommendation is to deny?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone, I don't think Jacob's here, huh?
No.
Mr. Weaver's not here.
You need to bring it back.
I think he did in the previous meeting.
I just have another issue is actually with the resolution. It doesn't state anything about an abandonment, and it doesn't state what the reduction would be too. So whatever action you're gonna take, you're gonna need to be pretty specific.
Thank you for that, sir. We'll make sure before we get final adoption to come back to that. Brock, I do see you here, and I know that it was favorably out of your committee. Did you talk to Jacob or Mr. Richard? I mean, if anybody, I mean, I know he said at previous meeting, but I like, according with the ordinance, we have to have a recommendation from him.
It was favorable in our committee.
Did he ever state in the staff reports that he recommended it?
I mean, when our staff report that he gave to us, he recommended it.
He did, okay. It's not in our deal, so I just wanted to state that for the record, that Mr. Weaver did state in the staff reports that he recommended the abandonment. Okay, Councilman Broussard, were you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
No, you can
No,
go,
I
you
was
still
gonna,
have the floor.
can I go ahead and amend the language that we need to add? the
Let's wait
abandonment
on
part?
everybody to have that
Okay.
discussion on the main motion, then we'll come back to that, if that's okay
thank
with you.
Yep.
Councilman Landry, as the second.
I remember he did recommend it.
Okay.
And I've been out there, and I think you've been out there.
Yep.
That ditch.
I didn't want to speak for him, I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure.
Explain it though, from your point of view.
It's a ditch to nowhere.
So there's no
That's it.
reason to not.
Yeah, but I would like to see what you go, Jacob here and say it in his own eyes, his own words, if we need to abandon or whatever, recommend a reduction or whatever we need to do.
It's a ditch that basically drains onto Mr. Voorhees' property, and
It's
then
a
it gets
ditch to
down to
nowhere.
the lake, so
Yeah.
I don't
it's a
see why we
twofold.
need to, extend this.
Okay, Councilman Landry, you still have the floor.
I waive,
You yield back. Gentleman from District 2 yields back. Is there anyone else on discussion on the main motion before we take? We do have one by Councilwoman Broussard.
Brock, do you mind explaining what the thought process it was and what was the recommendation of the planning commission? Was it to abandon, was it to reduce, and why was their recommendation made?
Sure, Ms. Broussard, I'll allow that to happen without objection.
Thank you, Mr.
If you can
Gustafson.
state your name and title.
Brock
for the-
Pellerin, Chairman of Iberia Parish Planning Commission. It came in front of us 3 months ago, whatever, and pretty much what Michael said, or whoever said it, it's a ditch that goes nowhere. And we looked at it, and I think Mr. Labiche gave a rundown for us too. If y'all like to hear from Mr. Labiche, he could give y'all side of it too. But it goes nowhere. I mean, it just drains on his property, and we didn't see a use for it. What Dexter said earlier, that kind of caught me by surprise because I didn't even think it connect to the state right away, but it may. But I mean, we recommended it unanimously, and Jacob did too. So.
Ms. Broussard, you still have the floor.
Oh, wait, I'm good.
Okay. Did you finish, Mr. Pellerin?
I'm done.
Okay.
Stay right there, bro.
Councilwoman Broussard yields back. The gentleman from District 11 is recognized.
I'm trying to understand. So it's a ditch on the back of Walter's property.
No, sir. No, it's on the side.
On the side.
Well, on the side
Coming
of his
from the state
property.
highway.
So if we do nothing, what is that? Do we clean the ditch? I mean, what do we do with the ditch? Parish government.
I don't think parish government was cleaning the ditch. From what I
So he's saying that he's going to take care of it. I'm just talking to us. He's going to take care of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well,
I get what you're saying, but I'd rather you direct the question to Mr.
Yeah.
Mr.
No, but I
Voorhees
would just
or Labiche.
from what because y'all heard. I'm sure y'all heard all the particulars during the planning and zoning.
Yeah, and they both gave a presentation to us.
And that was.
We didn't see no issues with it.
And yeah, and you can't speak for Jacob. Yeah.
I mean, Dexter, if the chairman would
No,
like.
absolutely. I mean, Mr. Miguez, please.
Thank you, bro. I just don't see why it doesn't seem to be a big deal that
The
we
ditch,
can't
the
move
ditch
forward
it
on.
ties into the ditch on the side, the roadside ditch on the side of 182, and goes to Spanish Lake. That's what it did. It drains roadside. Plus, it drains from the other side. When the water does come up enough, it crosses by Ronald Peltier's house and goes to Spanish Lake. We're looking to get another right of way on the other side that's going to be even push more water, and they want to close the ditch. I think that ditch, Miss Hesmer lived in that house. I think it was maybe 2015. We dug the ditch. We never cleaned it since. And the last time I went out there was a little hump that might have stopped maybe 3 or 4 inches of water, but that was it. It doesn't need to be cleaned.
Mr.
So
Miguez, hold on. Mr. Miguez, just to clarify, you said that the ditch meets up at Spanish
a
Lake.
T.
I didn't see that. I
It's
can
a
actually
T.
walk at the end of the ditch, and the ditch never meets up to Spanish Lake. It actually drains over into his yard that gets into Spanish Lake. Am I correct? Because I didn't see where it kind of met up at when I went out there.
Because it just spreads out like that. It goes into the yard and whatever, but it drains to
So
Spanish
there's no
Lake.
cut that goes directly to the ditch.
There
is what
was
you're
a cut. Well, maybe it's silted in.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Councilman Napier, I apologize. You still have the floor.
No, we good. So, but parish government doesn't take care of you don't see no need to.
We maintain it. If somebody asks us if it's silted in, we'll go and look at it. If it needs to be dug, if it needs to be cut, I think Mr. Walter just asked to have it cut. We had it cut. Actually, it was on schedule. We had it cut the same day.
So y'all done some work on it recently?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Dexter. If the council doesn't mind, Walter, can you come up?
Without objection. Hearing none. So ordered.
So I'm trying to understand it, Walter. So your deal is you want it abandoned for?
Well, for safety purposes, for beautification of my property, for a number of issues, you know. Actually, if you stand and you look at the ditch, we have trees that have fallen in the ditch. The ditch is blocked up pretty good. They've come and they've done some topograph work. When the ditches were dug, they created some issues for drainagement of my personal drainagement on my property, which allowed water to stay underneath Mrs. Hester's house, which is now my house, for long periods of time. We've cut some side swales to relieve the moisture from underneath the house, in the front of the house and the back of the house. The ditch, as far as I can tell, was never dug to the lake. And I'm saying that because there are mature cypress trees and other types of trees that are grown up from where the ditch pans out at the back of my property, another 125 feet to the actual lake. And so what's happening to me is there's not a lot of water. There's actually no water that comes from the state property. I had Mr. Labiche come and we did quite a bit of surveying, and we're at the top of a hill where the ditch is dug. And about 300 yards towards New Iberia, there's a lateral ditch that comes across from the air base and drains into the lake from some other people's property. But we're at the high point on the road. When you look to the west, it's level. When you look to the east, it drops off from that point where this ditch is. The state's ditch does not drain into that ditch because my ditch is always full of water in the front. And I've complained and asked the state to adjust it and do things with it, and they have not. Okay? So it doesn't, I fail to see what purpose it serves for a betterment of the parish, or why the parish should even be spending any time or money on this particular ditch, because it doesn't serve my purposes for drainage. It doesn't serve the Shopwees, who have given me the right to speak for them on this issue. In essence, there was a levee that was created between both properties, And this ditch is a fairly substantial ditch, but the only time that it ever drains is into my property because Shopweed's property is quite a bit higher than mine. So I have trouble cutting grass. I have trouble keeping the back of my property dry.
So, Walter, if we would pass this, what is your intention with the ditch?
What's my intention? It's my intention to create a large swale to reduce the levees that were created by whatever digging was done in the past, and to have good flow all the way from the front of my property to the 700 feet to the lake. And the only way I can accomplish that is to get in there with a bulldozer, top the areas that need topping, use the dirt that we have there to reconstruct a natural drain, something that I could cut with a lawnmower. Now that they have to come with these sidebar machines to be able to cut the, and that's great that they cut the topograph, but we've got oak trees that are dead in the ditch. We've got, any number of other problems. And it just, I fail to see what purpose it serves for the parish's benefit now or in the future.
So you're gonna maintain the ditch better
I
than
am
what it's
gonna
being
maintain
maintained
it.
now?
I mean, if you come in, you look at my property, and several of the council members have visited, I do a pretty good job keeping my property up.
I know you will, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good for now, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Napier yields back. Councilman Olivier is recognized.
Dexter sort of answered my question earlier. My concern does the ditch drain adjacent properties? From what Dexter was explaining to me, it does take water in from the opposite side of 182. Is that correct, Dexter?
That is not correct. It takes there's no lateral ditch across 182.
I'm sorry, Mr. Voorhees. My question was directed at Dexter Miguez.
Okay.
If Mr. Miguez can come back up just for the record so he can answer that.
Whenever you have a lot of rain and it comes to Ronald Pelche's property, when the elevation of the water gets up, it'll head that way and go back to the lake. I think maybe what they're asking for is he talks about beautification. I think if he wants to just, the ditches like this, if he wants to, to beautify it and better cut the grass, and that's what most people want. I don't see any problem in that. If he wants to take a dozer and shape it, it's still gonna drain, but he'll be able to cut the grass.
I realize that the ditch kind of doesn't meet up with Spanish Lake, but I'm sure where them cypress trees are, it must be a little floodplain right there.
You got to
I guess,
remember,
yeah.
look at the elevation from where it starts at to down here.
Yeah, there's.
You don't need a ditch on the bottom; it's going to run off.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's like marsh in the bottom. You
Right,
couldn't
yeah,
dig it
okay.
if you wanted.
So it's a little floodplain area where
Correct.
it drains into, correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay, I mean, as far as the parish abandoning the ditch, if it serves other purpose besides the property owner, I'm a little leery to do this. I'm sure there may be something we can do to beautify the ditch where it can be easier for the property owner to maintain it maybe, but that might be the only option I can look at right now. But abandonment, I'm a little leery about the abandonment part of it.
Well, that's another thing too. Like I mentioned earlier with Jeff Legnan, Jeff said that you see it ties into a state ditch. They don't do away with ditches like that. He's an engineer with the state.
Okay, my question is answered.
Okay. The gentleman from District 10 yields back. The gentlewoman from District 12 is recognized.
I had a question, but Mr. Eugene just asked you, Mr. Dexter, that the ditch does serve drainage for Iberia Parish.
Correct.
Okay, and then I had a motion. Can I make a motion now?
Can you hold that just to make sure Tim will come back
and
to
then
it?
I had a request.
Go ahead.
Okay, do we have any maps of this property that we can see?
I don't, not here at this point. Jacob's not here. Jacob would usually have those maps. No, they were not in the packet, that's correct.
All right.
Mr. LaBiche, you wouldn't happen to have a map on you, would you? Mr. Wildfetch? Could we take a look at that if you can? Councilwoman Brown, would that suffice your request?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I'm gonna come back to you, Councilwoman, when you're ready, and then Councilman Moncheran did have a question.
Yeah, I got a question for Mr. Voorhees. What's stopping you from shaping the levee now, knocking it down to where you could drain your property.
The parish has an easement there. I didn't think I was allowed to do anything like that.
As far as I know, I mean, it's still your property. You could, you couldn't stop the drainage
can't
without,
build on it.
but you could, you could fix it and maintain it. And the part about the safety with the alligators and snakes, you have a lake in your backyard. That's kind of, that one's kind of iffy, but I don't see
It's
why
in the
you
backyard,
can't.
500 feet from the house.
It's still there.
42 feet from the
It's
house.
still there, but I don't see why it would stop you from fixing and beautifying the. I can understand they probably dug the ditch at one time and put the spoil on the bank, and then it rolls the bank so it can't drain. But I mean, I would think you more than in your right to fix the edge of the drain.
Yeah, so you just have to be careful about assuming what you can and can't do in present day. It's not as simple as it was when all these, maybe this even 2015. There's all kinds of battles about what you can do with your property depending on whether or not it qualifies as under the jurisdiction of the Corps of Engineers.
Because it's a lake.
Because it can be tied to a wetland. They're fighting over the definition of a wetland. It's just it can be more complicated than just go do what you
So
want.
if we abandon the ditch, it could still be complicated for them if it's considered a wetland.
There's that part, but then there's also the interaction with the state. So if DOTD is gonna have some issue with him trying to actually improve his property, that's something that we should know before we take ourselves out of the equation. Because right now, we actually have the ability to help him with the drainage.
Right.
Once we take ourselves out, then we're gonna need to get easements back from
Right.
the drainage easement from both property owners, and you never know how that's gonna go.
And just to clarify, when was the easement put into place? What year, Mr. Voorhees? Do you know?
Oh, I'm not certain.
It hadn't been a significant amount of time.
1993.
Okay, it's been a significant amount of time.
Still, there's police jury then.
Mr. Montre, you still
I'm
have the
good,
floor?
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else on the main motion discussion? Ms. Brown, that map's making its way to you. Okay, I do have a question by Councilman Landry.
And I know we've been tabling this, but I would sure like to know what was Jacob's reasoning to approve it. And evidently, he didn't go to Public Works, he did it on his own.
I think that's why
Not
we,
on his own,
I
but
think
on
that's why we got to this point at the time when we
yeah.
came before the council the first time. We had the recommendation from Mr. Weaver, but we never got the recommendation from Public Works. So the council decided to table because our ordinance calls for a recommendation from both. But as far as the staff reports, I'm not able to provide it at this point, but he did recommend, and the staff did unanimously approve the way the language is written currently.
Yeah, here's.
No, absolutely.
May I?
What is
I guess at the time of his approval, was he aware of a potential conflict with DOTD in this 182 roadside ditch?
Can't answer that.
Okay.
It's a good question.
We may have to have Jacob in here to answer it. Personally speaking, I didn't see where it tied into to 182. It's on the map, but it's not cut into 182. I understand what the map's showing, but Warren's been there.
It doesn't
just
tie in? With the-
not to me. It doesn't, but no.
But what,
It flows
maybe
from
overflow?
his yard
Yeah.
into 180, into the ditch, but I don't know. And I hear the state saying something, so we may not be able to do it. I don't know.
Councilman, you still?
I'm good.
Councilman Landry yields back. Councilman Broussard is recognized.
We kind of at the end of the debate, I guess. If
For
I
the
can
main
offer up-
motion, that's correct.
Yeah, if I can offer go ahead and move forward, offer an amendment to do the abandonment.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to word a resolution, grant an abandonment of the drainage, see how it goes, and then, we'll go from there. So I'm good with if it.
So a complete abandonment?
Yep. Yep. I think, look, he's had the engineer go through this. He's done all that. I'm sure he'll have an engineer be part of the process.
Engineers here at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. So I think he's done everything the right way. I think we're okay with moving forward. I walked it, I went to it after a large rain. There was no no issues. If whatever state's tied into it, it's very minimal, if any, because the road, I've seen the road and where it goes. I don't think it's an impact. So I'm good with going forward,
So-
offering that amendment. and
The
then-
amendment is to amend the language granting a full reduction,
Yeah.
an abandonment, striking reduction and adding abandonment.
Yep, yes, sir.
Okay, is that the second by Trahan? Oh, you want to speak on the main motion? I'm good. I'm gonna hold the floor for the motion on that, and I'll give, Mr. Trahan the opportunity for the main motion. I
I just wanted to
apologize.
say one quick thing. I went out there to look at it, and the roadside ditch on 182, it comes up quite a bit on the side, and this ditch kind of connects to it. So the roadside ditch here would have to come up almost to the top to get the water over to get into that ditch. So if that kind of helps y'all out, I guess it would drain it eventually if it got high enough to go right there, but it's not a main drain that actually drains the front ditch that I've
Right.
seen when I was there.
That's what I thought.
That's why I made a minimum
Yeah,
impact.
that's what yeah, that makes sense.
You good?
First, if I could ask James a question.
Yeah, without
If you look at it, there was water standing in the ditch. Where does it go? If it doesn't go into that
It
ditch?
goes along 182. It
There's
drains.
another
It's a
outflow?
high point, so the water's gonna go out of the ditch, left or right.
Did you see any cross culvert under 182 from the opposite property?
Not at that
across the
area.
highway?
They probably have one further
Yeah.
down somewhere, but not at that area.
That's a good question. I didn't see one either.
No,
So it doesn't receive any water from the opposite
No,
side? of
it's
the
not,
highway?
it's not coming underneath 182 to drain it there to
Further
get to the
down.
lake.
Right,
There's nothing there but the ditch.
I think the one that Mr. Voorhees had alluded to earlier was where that cross pipe comes out from the airport, correct?
Right, further down.
You good with that?
So if, you have to have a substantial rain for that ditch to actually be in use?
Exactly.
to even get
You have to have a
water.
lot of water in 182
A
ditch
flood
to make
event.
it over the hump to
A
get
flood
into that
event,
ditch to go to the
basically.
Spanish Lake.
And there's other adjacent properties on each side of the ditch? Okay.
Okay. Councilman Trahan yields back. Councilman Rawson, was that a second on back to the main motion? Okay.
That's where I was going. You had elevations on this map. The next lateral that drains to the lake, do you know the elevation of that one? By any chance?
Much lower.
It's about 4 feet lower than,
Yeah.
Well, I saw you had 24, then you had 22, then you had 20 along the ditch.
right.
But as far as a drainage outlet going to the lake,
To the
is it
lake,
20 foot?
yeah.
It's about invert elevation 20.
Okay, so the water is going that way no matter what. All right. I just wanted to make sure we're not flooding anybody's house next door to this thing. That's really,
Yeah, no,
really where I want to
I
go.
don't think so.
Thank you.
Okay. The gentleman from District 9 yields back. At this time, I'll entertain the motion to amend by Councilman Broussard. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilman Napier. Okay, members, at this time, it becomes the discussion or debate about the amendment by Councilman Broussard. Councilman Napier?
I support what Marcus has put out there.
Okay. Any discussion, members, on the amendment? Seeing none, vote your machines on the Broussard amendment.
Wait a minute,
Councilman Brown?
wait. I was listening.
That's okay. Glad you was listening, Councilman.
Take your time, Mr. Brown.
All
We
right,
got you some fresh batteries
all
tonight.
right. Oh, it's working.
It's working.
I'm ready.
No? Okay.
That motion carries. Back to the main motion with the amendment, members. Vote your machines on final adoption. That motion carries. Summary 205 is adopted. Moving on to summary number 238, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution amending the 2023 Public Building Maintenance Fund budget in the net amount of $25,000 to appropriate additional building repairs and maintenance expenditures to fund Ajax heating boiler, retube at the Sheriff Building on West Amardahl Drive, all to be funded with additional investment income earned in 2023.
Do I have a motion, members? I have a motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Olivier on discussion.
I waive.
Councilman Landry. Any main motion discussion on 238? Members hearing none, seeing none. Vote your machines on final adoption, 238. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 239, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution amending 2024 Public Building Maintenance Fund in the net amount of $43,333 to recognize state FP&C funding in the amount of $124,150 to fund courthouse elevator 2 improvements expenditures in the amount of $167,483 with the required local match of $43,333 to be funded with fund balance previous years.
Do I have a motion, members? Motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Olivier on discussion?
Waive.
Councilman Napier.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend the language.
Let me hold that for a second, go to the main motion discussion first. Did you want to speak on that, or did you want to just hold?
I just need to amend the language.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to give the floor to Councilwoman Broussard on the main motion.
Mr. Richard, are we replacing this elevator?
You're repairing the elevator.
We're repairing the elevator. This is the small elevator in the
Yeah,
back?
this should be the, what we call the inmates elevator.
The inmate, right. And it's gonna be $200,000 to repair it?
Yeah. We lucky it's $200,000.
Some of them want to wait for the other elevator.
I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like we
they
can
wanna
put
wait
a
for
much
that.
bigger elevator in there, but
No, you can't.
dang, that's a small
It's the
little
type of elevator.
Yes, so that's the problem is it's old. So the equipment, the materials that you use to replace it with, it's not that readily available. And this elevator been out for how many years now?
Oh.
Probably since we got here. Maybe, yeah, for quite some years. And it's causing a problem, council, and the problem is, when we have inmates come here, of course, you don't want your inmates to mix with the general population. So now what we have to do for these years, we have to get our security people to make sure that no one is downstairs, getting into the elevators, that these inmates, it causes a lot of problems.
No, it was much better for public safety when the inmates could be just
Absolutely.
brought to that back elevator.
Right,
There's no
absolutely.
question about that.
So, Mr. Richard, what you're saying is the longer we wait to address these projects, the more costly those
That's
projects
exactly what
become.
happens. And of course, we had to wait
Makes
to
sense.
get some money from capital outlay to do this.
Thank you, Parish President Richard, I appreciate it. Councilwoman Broussard, you finished?
I'm finished, thank you, Mr.
Councilwoman
Johnson.
Broussard yields back. Councilman Tronholm is recognized on discussion.
Yeah, maybe Mr. Richard could clarify that, but when you're dealing with an elevator, it's not just your maintenance and repairing parts, you have to bring it up to code again.
That's exactly right.
So that's what costs a lot, is the safety features to bring the elevator back up to code.
That's
So I
right.
think
You're
that's got
exactly
a lot of
correct. I
cost
mean,
taken there.
you just explained it. I don't need to explain it.
Yeah, that's it.
You on it. You're dead on it, straight on it.
Yeah, I
Make
got a
sure to-
cousin that's on the union.
Councilman Tronholm yields back. Councilman Broussard is recognized.
Just quick question, what would be the cost to do the whole thing?
Oh,
Where all the way, just, I'm not asking to do it, I'm just asking, just curiosity. If it's 167 and it's 250 to put a whole new system, 300, a million, I don't know, just
it's gotta
asking
be
the
more.
question. So
It's gonna be, you're talking a lot of money. I honestly, I didn't even ask for that kind of cost. First of all, it would be almost impossible to do. Natalie mentioned to you the size of that elevator, and it's been here for so long, the space is confined.
Yeah.
You talk about, it would cost some money.
Mr.
And to do it, you probably would have to take it out and replace it. You gotta bust up some of these concrete walls.
You know,
So you're talking a major expense.
if we decide to do that right now, this is the time. I seen American Pickers is in town. It could be something in there for
get
us.
some money back on that old elevator.
Councilman
I was just
Broussard.
curious, just again.
I
asking
didn't get a
questions.
quote on that, Marcus.
Thank you, Councilman Broussard. The gentleman yields back. Councilman Napier on discussion.
So if discussion's done with, I'd like to amend the language for summary number 239.
State your amendment.
A resolution authorizing the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana and Iberia Parish government for the courthouse elevators, planning and construction, FP&C project number 50-J23-20-01, and further to amend the 2024 Public Buildings Maintenance Fund budget in the amount of $167,483 to provide for said FP&C grant project.
Have amendment on the floor by Councilman Napier, second by Councilman Brown. Councilman Napier on discussion. Councilman Brown. Hearing any discussion on the Napier amendment, seeing none, vote your machines on the amendment, members. The Napier amendment passes unanimously. Back to the main motion with the amendment. Vote your machines on final adoption on summary number 239. Final adoption, members. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 240, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution amending 2024 royalty fund budget in the amount of, what that is, 16 million to create project line items for Hanger Drive Extension LA 3212 Improvements Project, recognized state DOTD funding 16 million, and appropriate expenditure line items.
Do we have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Olivier. I have a second by Councilman Broussard. Councilman Olivier on discussion?
I've said it the last time, Larry, $16 million. Great job, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Your work in Baton Rouge to get this funding for this road was outstanding. Thank you so much. Right, yeah.
The gentleman from District 10 yields back. The gentleman from District 3 is recognized.
No, I'll waive.
Waive.
Yep.
Councilman Broussard waives. Any other discussion, members, on 240? Hearing and seeing none, vote your machines on final adoption. Summary 240. Did y'all want to do a unanimous second? No. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 241, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution to adopt the 2023 opioid abatement fund budget of revenues and expenditures. Note, a motion to suspend the rules is needed as this item was not considered by joint committee.
I need a motion to suspend the rules. Have a motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilman Brown. Vote your machines on suspension, members. That motion carries. The rules are now suspended. I need a motion to open 241. A motion by Councilman Napier, second by Councilman Landry. Councilman Napier on discussion.
I'll waive.
Councilman Landry. Councilman Brown. Hearing no discussion, members, vote your machines on final adoption 241. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 242, introduced by the Acadiana Criminalistic Laboratory. Go ahead.
A resolution approving and accepting the 2024 Acadiana Criminalistic Laboratory Fund budget of revenues and expenditures, all as recommended by the Executive Committee of the Acadiana Criminalistic Laboratory Commission.
I have a motion by Councilman Trahan, second by Councilman Brown. Councilman Trahan, discussion?
Yeah, I think it's, in your packet right here, the budget for it. Look like it's balanced, it's, expenditures and income, it's all the same as level. So we can get this, passed.
Councilman Trahan yields back. Councilman Brown on discussion?
I'll waive it.
Councilman Brown waives. Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, seeing none. Vote your machines on final adoption 242. Councilwoman Brown? Councilman Brown? That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to ordinances introduced for publication, there is none. I'd like to remind the general public our next meeting is December 27th, and that adjudicated properties are still available on the parish website. And remember to take the stormwater management survey. And I'll need a motion to adjourn. I have that motion by Councilman Trahan, second by Councilman Broussard, third by Rawson. Vote your machines, member, on adjournment. That's the fastest vote of the night. That motion carries unanimously.